What is going on, guys? Welcome to another video. Now let's talk about legacy weapons versus Black Ops 6 weapons. Now we already know with Call of Duty they come out with a new game every year. With every new game comes a new set of weapons, and with these new set of weapons it gets integrated into Warzone, not just multiplayer, right? And now with Black Ops 7 coming out and the weapons are being carried over, we are actually going to have weapons from MW2, MW3, Black Ops 6, and Black Ops 7. That's literally over 100 different types of weapons in this game. Now it shouldn't be a problem, right? It's okay as long as they balance all the weapons in the game. What is going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. My name is Pure Noble. I'm just a fellow Call of Duty player that likes to nerd out on everything Call of Duty related. We talk about the season changes, we talk about Call of Duty news, we talk about weapon balancing, we talk about the new weapon reviews, we talk about tips and tricks here and there that I learned as a Call of Duty player that I hope that I can instill to all new Call of Duty players out there that are just coming onto the scene. But if anything, guys, I hope you enjoy the rest of this video. Keep killing it out there. And of course, we already know why they do this, guys, right? With the new game, they need to sell the new game. In order to sell the new game, they need to make these weapons more appealing. How are they going to make them more appealing besides making them all look nice and flashy? Make them statistically better and perform better than your legacy weapons with all the games before Black Ops 7, before Black Ops 6. What's so coincidental is that I had a subscriber comment on one of my videos where I put up a legacy weapon against a Kilo 141 Black Ops 6 weapon. He commented this: I feel like they need to balance legacy weapons to be able to at least have a chance against the BO6 weapons. Every time I use a BO6 weapon, I dominate, but it seems every time I pick up a legacy weapons, it just falls so short and I have so much more trouble with them. I'd say I'm an above average player getting above 20 kills a game, but that seems to drop to 16 or way lower when using anything but BO6 weapons. What's your take on this, man? I'm very interested to hear what you think. I'm not the first one who's talked about this either. No, of course, man. Everyone has talked about it, and it's always seemed to be a trend that in order to sell the new weapons, right, they have to make it statistically better than all the legacy weapons. Look at every single weapon or new weapon that comes out with the battle pass that comes out every season. How are they going to make players pick that weapon over the others that are currently meta? By making the current set of new weapons meta too. But the problem with trying to include all of these weapons is that each weapon is catered to that specific game during that era of Call of Duty. When you think of the MW2 weapons, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Huge visual clutter, right? That was the main issue with the MW2 weapon set. But then you move it to MW3, right? MW3 removed the visual clutter, but look how many different set of attachments that came with MW3. It was so bad that now when you look at the MW3 attachments, all of them are just grouped up to have the same specific stats, so that way you don't have to be specific and choosy of which attachments to use because they're just all grouped up. You have all the MW3 suppressors giving the same amount of bullet velocity. Even a lot of the movement penalties that happen with the MW3 weapons were removed. Why? So that they can better align with Black Ops 6. And now with Black Ops 7 coming out, with the slight change in movement, we don't know how they're going to change the recoil. We don't know how they're going to change the speed penalties, or if there are any penalties. We don't know if they're going to throw in more visual clutter like they did with MW2 for the sake of making it realistic. I'm not saying that they're doing that, but hey, I'm just throwing examples out there. And that's just coming from an attachment point of view. We're not even talking about the base stat for the weapons. So we already know, right? Black Ops 6 weapons will have overall better stats compared to legacy weapons, but by how much is that actual gap in regards to stats? So if you haven't watched my recent YouTube shorts, I pitted the Kilo 141, the Black Ops 6 weapon, to the M13B because there's a viewer that was on TikTok that commented saying, hey, what about the M13B? Is that AR still good? So to do a quick summary of pitting the M13B to the Kilo 141, here is the difference between the two. When it comes to TTK, surprisingly, the TTK was still the same. Both weapons had 640. In regards to bullet velocity and hit scan, the M13B held at 42 meters while the Kilo 141 held at 56 meters, higher bullet velocity on the Kilo side. Now when you look at the recoil stats in the weapon, the Kilo still has lower horizontal recoil as well as lower vertical recoil. The M13B only won in lower gun kick recoil, so that means the M13B had less visual recoil. That was the only difference. Now we move into the mobility category. The Kilo 141 still wins in that category. faster movement speed, faster sprint speed, faster aim down sight movement speed. Unfortunately, the M13B just falls behind on those mobility categories. And to put more salt on the wound for the M13B, when it comes to weapon handling, it also has slower ADS speed, slower sprint to fire speed compared to the Kilo. So on paper that you can see, despite having the same TTK speeds, every other category, the Kilo 141 is still overwhelmingly better in regards to stats compared to the M13B. But remember guys, this is just the nerdy part about Call of Duty. The data shows that Kilo could be better, but if you yourself perform better using the M13B compared to the Kilo, hey, use the M13B. But to me, in my opinion, if I were just looking at this data alone, if I were to put in the same playtime for both the M13B and the Kilo 141, I think I will perform overall much more better using the Kilo 141. Why? Because the Kilo 141 is the current weapon for the current Call of Duty game of this year, and what's going to happen is when Black Ops 7 comes out, any of those Black Ops 7 guns will probably perform better than the Black Ops 6. And the cycle goes over and over and over. But from what I heard on the grapevine today on Twitter is that the carry forward for MW4, which is the Call of Duty that's going to come after Black Ops 7, will not have carry forward for the weapons. There will actually be a hard reset. So fingers crossed with this hard reset that's going to be coming in Call of Duty 2026 MW4, things will start to rebalance itself, just like how they did when they did a hard reset for MW2. And that's all we're going to have for this video, folks. If this video gave you any additional insight and context that you did enjoy, that gave you value, please drop a like on the video. It helps it tremendously in the algorithm. And if you enjoy the content overall and you also want to nerd out with Call of Duty with me, please drop a sub to the channel. We'd love to see you here for the next video, okay? But as always, stay pure, stay noble, and hashtag bring back honest gaming. Later, guys. What do you think of the M13B? Now, this is a really good one because I get to pit an MW2 AR against a Black Ops 6 AR. In this case, it's going to be the Kilo 141. Let's talk about it. So let's start with comparing damage effectiveness from the M13B to the Kilo. Both are holding at 640 milliseconds for time to kill. Hit scan for the M13B is going to be holding at 42 meters, while the Kilo is at 56 meters. Moving on to the recoil stats, the Kilo 141 holds 2 out of the 3 categories, being lower in horizontal recoil, lower in vertical recoil. The only thing it doesn't win that the M13 has advantage over is going to be gun kick. So M13 will have less visual recoil compared to the Kilo. And unfortunately, the M13 still continues to go downhill from there because all mobility metrics are being held by the Kilo 141 for first place. And for weapon handling like the ADS speed as well as the sprint to fire speed, the Kilo still dominates. Now, I really tried to give the M13 a chance, even when rebuilding the M13 to have it more movement focused so that we can win in mobility and handling. Unfortunately, it will win slightly with a faster ADS compared to the Kilo, but that means the M13 completely loses in everything recoil control. So my verdict is that since both weapons have the same TTK speeds, the Kilo will overwhelmingly win against the M13B. Farther hit scan, lower recoil, better movement, a better handling. Share this to a friend who still uses the M13B.